Hey, all right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Makakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yasher Allah, and a sincere salutation to all Yuakim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Akwath, who are believing this word in all truth and in sincerity. All right? Now, I want to go into a lesson through the Spirit on a rest. All right? There remaineth a rest for the people of Israel. All right, which consists of Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. There remaineth the rest for our people, man. All right, I want to start this lesson off, Lord willing, this be edifying. This is Hebrews chapter 4 and verse 9, and it reads, there remaineth therefore a rest to the people of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, man. Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai Barakatah. There remaineth the rest for our people, man. And why do I say that? Because our people have been deceived into believing that this is our rest. When all our people have been given is liberty, which is permission, the Illuminans and Haitians will have rest. All right? Because it's not natural. Where we at, city or another country. Well, another man. And that's why the scriptures talk about a new heaven and a new earth. New heaven representing rulership. And that rulership is going to involve Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans being put in a power seat under the one they ignorantly call Jesus, whose name is Yahweh Shai. And then we'll have rest. Then you'll be able to have children and not be worried about your children, man. All right. Then you'll be able to move around the earth for those princes to be made servants on the earth, man. But when you go into our scriptures, riches were resources, man. All right. This is Genesis chapter 13 and verse 1. And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him, into the south. He's for the one of all things, man. All right, and that by definition puts you subject to another nation of people. All right, the Lord promised us what? Sovereignty. That there will come a time through the Spirit where we would have rest from our hard bondage. All right, that we would have rest from the being subject to the other nations, from having to walk around the earth with the stigma of being Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. This is why it doesn't matter how rich our people become in this society, they can never break through from that stigma. All right, because that's a reproach unto us. All right, matter of fact, I'm going to bring that out. Because right now, our people walk around with this stigma. All right, and that stigma has been promoted and pushed by Esau Edom, which is the so-called white man. All right. But there's going to come a time where the Lord's going to take away that reproach that we face on a day-to-day basis, man. All right, real quick, this is Joel chapter 2 and verse 19. Yea, the Lord will answer and say unto his people, behold, I will send you corn and wine and oil. And what is that symbolic of? Resources. A pair of shoes and a shirt. Our people have been deceived into believing that equates to freedom. Freedom. When all you've been given is liberty, which is permission. You're not a sovereign nation of people. So by definition, you are not free. That's why the scriptures talk about there remaineth a rest for the people of God. Because everybody's not the people of God. The only people of God are Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians, who are the Israelites according to the Bible. And the one they ignorantly call Jesus is coming to save his people from all of their enemies and from the hand of them that hate them, man. All right, because all these other nations, they hate you. Just because you have a nice little cordial relationship with a so-called white man or a so-called Chinese man on your day-to-day or at work or something, our people have been removed. Blessed be the Lord, power of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people. Coming very soon in food. And the Lord did that as a punishment unto us. But there remaineth the rest for our people, man. Belief we're not born into this earth to just be servants to the so-called white man and the other nations. We're not born to just sing and dance and entertain other nations of people, man. We're born to be a sovereign nation of people, to rule over other nations of people, restore us. So this is Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 1, and I'm going to read it first in the KJV. It says, for the Lord will have mercy on Jacob. They can never escape the stereotype that the so-called white man has pushed across the planet concerning our people, man. That we're savages, all right, concerning Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. That the only thing we're good for is being servants. Shame, all right, and who hates us? The so-called white man as a nation of people hates our guts, man. All right, the other nations are accessories to the crime because they benefit from us being going to be looked at as the greatest people on the face of the earth, as it should be. All right, because contrary to popular belief, we don't belong on the bottom. This was a punishment. This was not our permanent position on earth, man. But 2/3 of our people have settled for this. They have settled for being servants to other nations of people, man. And they desire nothing else because they can go buy a pair of Nikes, or they can go to the Prime Outlet and get a good shirt for a discount and take pictures and put on Instagram. Our people believe that they're free. And we're not free as a nation of people, man. If your face ain't on the money, you're not free. If you got to ask another nation to go on Instagram and post and go to the club on Saturdays and Sundays, they think that they're free, man, and they're not. And they're going to find out the hard way as the so-called white man begins to roll with great fury, man. Beautiful. This is Lamentations 2:15. All that pass by clap their hands at thee. They hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? Because that's who our people are, man. We're the perfection of beauty. We're the joy of the whole earth. But through our disobedience, that beauty has been cast down, man. All right, the Lord has put a cloud over us, man. And that's why our people are in a dead state at this point. All right, they walk around the earth, all right, in ignorance. But there's coming a time through the Spirit where we're actually going to have rest from our sorrow. We're actually going to have rest from our bondage. You're going to be able to have children and actually enjoy them, man. Not work 30 years for the so-called white man just for him to give you a 20-year anniversary watch and a 401k, man. And our people have been deceived into believing to another nation of people. You, as a nation of people, you shouldn't have to go to another nation to ask for a job. Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans have been so deceived that they have accept people that you have to ask for permission to leave the country. They ID you. They give you passports and social security numbers. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. And what our people they have been destroyed by the illusion of progress, by the illusion of sovereignty. You're not free as a nation of people, man. To this day, you still have to, whose face is on the money? All right, this is Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 33, man. Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 33 reads, fast, they refuse to let them go. And this is why you still have passports and identification. All right, this is why they give you a census. All right, where they check how many Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are in the household at one time. This is why they stamp your passport. You have our people who hop on the internet, all right, and take pictures in another country where the so-called white man had to give you permission to go over there. You got our people that if they catch a felony, they can't leave this place. By definition, that's a nation of people refusing to let you have understanding will judge their nation by the average person's life of your nation, not by the exception. Our people are the only ones who have it backwards. All right? They see somebody like Pitbull or they see somebody like Jay-Z and they assume that it's strong. White man, Esau Edom. And we've been found in his hands to this day. And that's why when the Lord comes back, he's going to put the so-called white man in captivity along with the other nations, where they belong at for what they've done to our people, man. And then we'll have rest. Then you'll be able to have children and enjoy them. Then you'll be able to go around the earth and walk in stores and not be followed. Then you'll be able to go through streets and not be pulled over. But until then, you are not in your rest. That's why scripture say this in Micah chapter 2, and I'm going to jump down to verse 10. Shall destroy you even with the sword destruction. Because the more our people try to have rest in this society, the harder it becomes for them, man. The more our people try, because the majority of our people who are so-called rich and successful, all right, have to work for another nation of people. They don't own resources. And as a nation of people, it should not be so, man. All right, because when the one they ignorantly called Jesus was born, this is what they were saying. All right, Luke chapter 10, since the world began, that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us. Because you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are hated, man. You're looked down upon in this society. All right, and the Lord is coming to restore us. All right, the Lord is coming to restore us to this is Deuteronomy chapter 15 and verse 6. For the Lord thy God blesseth thee as he promised thee, and thou shalt lend unto many nations, but thou shalt not borrow. And thou shalt reign over many nations, but they shall not reign over thee. All right? And that's the promise that the Lord's going to restore us to save his people from the hand of their enemies and from the hand of all that hate them. Because even to this day, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans dwell amongst vipers, dwell amongst snakes. You dwell amongst a nation of people that hate your guts. And in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Yeah, the same nation of people that castrated you, that burned you alive, that hung you, that took pictures of your dead bodies and sent it off part of the curses, man. We're a whole nation of people. So-called white man told you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. But the world is going to find out that we went into captivity for our disobedience, man. And we're going to be restored back into our rightful land in rulership, man. His hands on it. And he's coming to save his people, beginning with the elect of his people who have returned unto him. And then the stigma of our people being Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans is going to be removed out of the earth, man. And the world is going to know us for who we actually are, not for what the so-called white man has told the world about us, man. All right, continuing at verse 22. So the house of Israel shall know that I am the Lord, all by the sword. Being niggas in America is going to be taken away. Because who gave us that title? Who pushed that across the planet? The so-called white man, which is the devil that the Bible speaks of, man. The real crook of the earth, man. And through his deception, the whole world has been deceived into believing that he's a ruler and the world was made for our sakes through the Spirit. The one they call the children of Israel, the one they call Jesus, whose name is Yahweh Shai, is coming and put them on postcards, smiling. That burnt them, that broke backs. That forced our people to work hard bondage so that they could have cold coffees in 2023. The Lord is coming to put them in subjection for what they've done to our people, man. And then the stereotype and the reproach, which is beginning with the so-called white man, are servants. Servants, when really we're the princes of the Lord. And that's going to be known in the kingdom. This is Ezekiel chapter 39 and verse 23. And the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity. Not because of the bell curve, not because we were, what do they say, genetically inferior. Intellectually inferior. That's what they said about our people, man. At one point in time, they said our people desiring freedom was a disease. It was a mental illness. Well, the world is going to find out that the reason we went into captivity was because we betrayed the Lord, man. But that was a temporary position. It was not our permanent state in the earth, man. And the Lord's going to return us to prominence. And we're going to have our enemies in subjection. The same way we had to be their servants and handmaids, they're going to be our servants and handmaids. Thus saith the Lord, man. Matter of fact, let's get that. This is Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 1. They actually belong to us as a nation of people, man. Their seed line goes back on their father's side to Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Those are the strangers who are. So the justice that the Lord's going to enact in the earth is that as we were made to be servants, they're going to be made to be servants. And that is how you have true justice. At this point, the so-called white man won't even dignify you with an apology for what he's done to you. But that's okay, because the Lord's going to restore us and give us justice by putting their ass in captivity. Matter of fact, let's get that. Isaiah 14 and 2, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place. Contrary to popular belief, what Christianity has put out, the mythos of Christianity, has nothing to do with the Bible. The Bible involves the Lord judging nations of people. When you deal with the first Exodus, the Lord judged the Egyptians for what they did to the children of Israel. Not just Pharaoh, but all of the Egyptians. Matter of fact, let's get that. Let's prove that. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18 and verse 11. The master and the servant were punished after one manner. And like as the king, so suffered the common person, the Native Americans, as the sons of God. The same way the Lord performed an act of judgment against the Egyptians for putting us in captivity, the Lord's going to do that to the so-called white man and all the other nations who have joined themselves as confederacy against the Lord and against his chosen. Every one of them shall go into captivity, man. And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. Because at this point, as a nation of people, we are for a prey and none delivered. All right? As a nation of people, you don't own resources. Your face isn't on the money. You don't have your own land. You're not sovereign. You can go outside and not have to. And the ones who are princes on the earth are looked at as servants. And you can see it. There's a certain spirit that comes with our people that you don't see on the other nations. There's a special spirit that our people possess that the other nations don't. And for that reason, they envy our people, man. The Lord's going to deliver his people again. And as the scripture says, shall no more be said, the Lord liveth that delivered the children of Israel out of Egypt. Let's get there. Jeremiah 16 and 14. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But concerning permission means that you're not free. You're not sovereign as a nation of people. Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans have been deceived under the illusion of liberty. You should be governing yourself. Your face should be on your own money. You shouldn't have to ask another nation for permission to go to France or any other place in the earth. The earth was made for the Israelites, man. Matter of fact, let's get that too. Because contrary to popular belief, you know, the so-called white man had it right. You know, they said that all people were equal, but they didn't mean that shit. But it's true. All people are not equal. There are levels. And there are levels. And at this point in time, the princes of the earth have been made certain out that they're the Lord's people, man. All right, this is 2nd Esdras chapter 6 and 54. And after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all, and the people also, whom thou hast chosen. All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes. As for the other people, which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle, and hast likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. And that's a very poetic way of saying, if you put all the nations in one bucket, their relevance is as a drop falling from that bucket, man. But in this world of us being referred to as genetically inferior, of people celebrating our downfall through Thanksgiving. And verse 30, for he that gave thee that name will comfort thee, but only on the condition that you're in the position that you're in right now. That's the only condition that they'll look at you as a so-called friend. And really, that's just something that they do at your face. Because if you were a fly on the wall in the suburbs, when your people come up, you really know why the scriptures tell you not to trust your enemies, man. Because they rejoice at our fall. They make mockery of our people, man. Whether it's the way our people talk, the way our people walk, the things that have happened to our people, they make mockery. Miserable are the cities which thy children served. Miserable is she that received thy sons. See, for a moment, they live good. They live deliciously off our people. Off of the captivity of you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, they were this longer. As the scripture says, they rejoiced at our fall, we're going to rejoice at theirs, man. That's the balance. Because when you deal with the word God, it's Allah, which means a power or a judge. And the Lord judgeth in the earth. And he's going to return the recompense upon Esau. That you have all these problems that come with the abundance of fiat currency. And that's not actual rest. That's why Micah 2:10 says what it says. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. This place is tainted with the blood of your ancestors. And the only way it can be rectified is by the blood being shed of them that shed our blood. All right, which is the other nations, man. And then you'll have rest. But until then, we have to labor to enter into that rest. As a matter of fact, this is Deuteronomy chapter 12 and verse 9. For ye are not as yet come to the rest and to the inheritance which the Lord your God giveth you. We have not. This is a symbol of progress. And that's how things get balanced. The equation gets balanced through judgment. Away in the chains, your ass gonna be carried away in the chains, man. Thus saith the Lord. This is Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 16. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine all of them are considered the heathens in the eyes of the Heavenly Father, because he only chose one people on the earth. All right? As the scriptures say, Habakkuk 1 and 5, behold ye among the heathen, and regard and wonder marvelously, for I will work a work in your days, which you will not believe, though it be told you. So we're here now telling the so-called white man that he's going to go into captivity for what he did to our people. Now, he doesn't believe that, though it's being told to him, but he's going to regard and wonder marvelously when it actually takes place. All right? And that's the beauty. That's the gospel. When you deal with the gospel, it's the good news. The Lord loves Jacob. He chose Israel. And that hasn't changed. And how they treat us as a nation of people, man. The stigma. But there is going to come a time where you're going to be able to move around the earth and not be followed, not be looked down upon. All right? Not be treated like a second-class citizen. Not have to walk around the earth as if you don't belong here, as if you're a guest in your own house. There is going to come a time where rest is actually going to be restored unto us, man. Because Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are the children of Israel, the chosen people of the Lord. And our condition on this earth is temporary. Us being looked at as inferior is temporary. The scriptures say, let's get that. You know, you got to touch certain precepts multiple times, man. This is Ecclesiastes 10 and 6. Follow yourself. And that's why scripture say, I've seen servants upon horses. And then what does it say? and princes walking as servants upon the earth. And who are those princes? Negro, Latino, and Native American men. Those are the princes of the earth. But because of our disobedience, we were placed into captivity. We were given into the hand of our enemies. All right? The scriptures talk about all they that walk by us hiss at us, meaning they make mockery of us. The scriptures described us as not being in our rest, that the Lord was going to have to put us in our. They will no longer be able to tell us where we can and can't go on the earth. All right? They will no longer be able to have jurisdiction or authority over us as a nation of people, man. This is 2 Samuel chapter 7 and verse 10. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, that they may dwell in a place of their own, and move no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more as before time. Because the children of wickedness, which is the so-called white men, are afflicting our people to this day, man. At this point, we place in the land of our own, because this land does not have to celebrate holidays that ultimately celebrate your own destruction. The white man belongs in authority over them. And that's why they don't have any sovereign interests at this point. They don't deserve our enemies, man. All right, and we're going to be in our own land, and we're going to be able to govern ourselves in righteousness. Matter of fact, let's get this. This is Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 17. And it reads, for I will restore health unto thee, and I will hit these high-end stores and just walk around and see how they treat you. All right? Be in the wrong neighborhood at the wrong time and see how they treat you. They treat you like an outcast, and it was prophesied that the children of Israel will be treated like that in the land of their enemies. And that's why they would need a savior. And this is why the one they ignorantly call Jesus is coming. You can and can't go, you are still under oppression as a nation of people. But again, I'm going to say this again, and I've said it many times, you judge the condition society is still in bondage. If another nation of people can still tell the average member of your society where they can and can't go, you're still in bondage. That's chapter 61, and I'm jumping down to verse 9. And their seed shall be known among the Gentiles, and their offspring among the people. All that see them shall acknowledge them, that they are the seed which the Lord, because at this point, that's what our people have been convinced that's all that they're good for. All right? This is why your history starts in this society at captivity. They don't tell you who you were before then. All right? Matter of fact, let's lock you. Real quick, this is Psalm 62 and 10 from GMS. We got Next Mac. Trust not in oppression and become who you are as a nation of people. All right? It's in his interest to continue to profit off of your ignorance. Isaiah chapter 14, I'm jumping down to verse 2. To pass in the day that the Lord shall give broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. Because ultimately the Lord's going to remove the so-called white man from power, man. All right? You're witnessing that even now. All right? From the fractions in the so-called white man society, from Russia, Ukraine, all right? Even the Turks. When you deal with Turkey, those are just so-called white people that are in the land of Turkey. They just white on white crime with accessories. This is Matthew chapter 12. And I'm going to jump down to verse 25. And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. And every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And even in Babylon the Great, such as, all right, the Russians don't get along with the Ukrainians, and all of these are people in the West, man. All right, and this was prophesied to happen. And through that, the Lord is going to deliver his people, man. The Lord said for his people's sake, he's going to drag the world into war, man. And he's using Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, to do it. Matter of fact, let's get that. This is Joel chapter 3 and verse 1. All right, Joel 3 and 1 reads, for behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Yehoshaphat, all right, which is over there in that Middle Eastern region, as it's called today, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. And they have cast lots for my people, all right, Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. And they have cast lots for my people and have given a to Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. You actually touched the apple of the Lord's eye, man. All right, this is Zechariah chapter 2 and verse 8. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations, which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you, toucheth the apple of his eye, man. Because contrary to popular belief, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are the apple of the Lord's eye. As the scriptures say, whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth. And we've been chastened through captivity and bondage, that as ye were a curse among the heathen, O house of Judah and house of Israel, so will I save you, and ye shall be a blessing. Fear not, but let your hands be strong. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, as I thought to punish you when you're the chosen people of the Lord, man. And the Lord's going to take away our captivity in the earth, and he's going to put all of our enemies into captivity. And then from another nation of people and say, good luck. Cash out on the social security check and just live your life, man. There is going to come a time where we're going to have rest, man. Or we're going to tell other nations, go here. It says strangers shall plant your vineyards, man. They shall be our wine dressers. Meaning they're going to serve us, man, just like we had to serve them. And that's the balance. That's the beauty. There remaineth the rest for our people, man. It's not natural that the elder of our people have to work themselves to death, man. That our people collect a social security check and they have to decide whether they're going to eat or whether they're going to get medicines from Esau Edom, the so-called white man. When you think about our people, when they get together and they have a good time and the music playing and the drinks flowing, imagine that in righteousness. That's the type of rest the Lord's going to give us. Not a couple PTO days, all right? Not 2 weeks. I'm going to start at verse 1, Salakia. Whereof we are glad. Constant, there's this constant dark cloud, man, of understanding that, and it should not be so. That's why the scriptures talk about the commonwealth of Israel, meaning the common benefit that we have as a nation of people. When the Lord's going to turn back our captivity and allow us to rule over our oppressors, man. Well, we won't. And the world is going to recognize that we're the seed which the Lord has blessed. And that we were in captivity for a moment. All right, the Lord forsook us for a moment. But in great mercy, he's going to gather us, man. All right, Isaiah 54. And I'm going to start at verse 5. No, I'm going to start at 4. Fear not, for thou shalt not be ashamed. Validation of the so-called white man to validate our existence. That's what most of our people need. They need some suit and tie to tell them that they're the children of Israel. Or some suit and tie, some Edomite with a suit and tie to tell our people that they special. Well, there's coming a time where the Lord's going to set us up on high in the earth, man. And we're not going to need the validation of any nation. Because the Lord's validation is more than enough. Isaiah 54:4, fear not, for thou shalt not. Just go through one of these high-end clothing stores. Go into a Gucci store just wearing some sweats and a hat and a do-rag and see how they treat you. Or go in one of these 5-star hotels and just sit over us because of our disobedience. But in the kingdom of heaven, in verse 5, for a small moment have I forsaken thee, but with great mercies will I gather thee. In a little wrath